Hello.
Hey.
I think it's live. I think we're doing it.
We're here. This is a thing that's happening. Wow, there is already somebody in the screening queue waiting for a phone call. This is super fun.
So, welcome to the Nerdvana Live podcast. Why do we still call them podcasts when they're video?
No, this is a live show. That
It's a
just
live
happens
show.
to be available in audio after the fact, if that's what you're into.
And we are a weekly video call-in show. We're streamed via YouTube and Twitch. You can also listen to us as an audio-only podcast. You can find us on iTunes and other places where you find great podcasts or not-so-great podcasts like ours. I'm Randy. I'm your host. With me is co-host Elisa Melendez, and we are fresh off the Gearbox holiday party, which happened on Friday. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Couple of things. I don't know, like, if anybody in the building is listening. I know we have some people here tuning in, but apparently there's a red Fiat sedan out front. License. The last three digits of the license plate are 784. You didn't leave your lights on or anything. It's just a piece of shit, and we need you to move that because we're trying to class the place up. And also, I just got this note that we were supposed to be joined tonight by apparently the world's first podcaster, Geraldine Foster, who recorded. But she couldn't be here tonight. It says here, gosh, I should probably zoom this. Apparently I guess she must be celebrating. She's 111. That's amazing.
The world's first podcast.
No, hold on a second. No, I'm sorry. She's ill. I'm sorry. Yeah, she's ill. That's my bad. Well, maybe she'll join us next time.
Yeah. Correct.
So I was thinking about this thing that I do. I don't know if you do this. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people say something nice to me, and I am anticipating what the thing is they're going to say, and I'm quick with the response. So usually the call is like, "Have a nice day," and I say, "You too." Mm-hmm. But sometimes the word they use isn't day. Sometimes they say, like, I'm in, say, this awesome restaurant. By the way, we're at Nerdvana.
Yep.
There's an at Nerdvana restaurant, which serves incredible food. I'm sure we'll talk about some of the food in a second. And there's the coffee shop behind us, and we're in the podcast booth that sits on top of both things. So I was in the restaurant, and the person serving me says, "Have a nice meal."
You too.
And I say, "You too." Because that's... Have you ever done that?
All the time.
What's up with that?
All the time.
It always happens at the airport for me too.
Yes.
Have a nice flight. You too.
All the time.
Oh,
every
geez.
single time. Also, because I was baptized Catholic and I went to school at an Episcopalian school and we had chapel every Thursday.
I'm sorry?
I was baptized Catholic.
Oh, I heard you. I'm sorry.
Sorry. We had chapel every
Boom,
Thursday.
every time.
And then because of that, every single time someone says, "May the force be with you," I say, "and also with you."
Yeah.
And it's just a
Yeah,
reflex.
yeah.
It's just a reflex. It just happens.
Well, that's a good one though. That's actually an appropriate response.
That's true.
That's kind of a nice... I mean, we should wish each other the force, I guess.
Enjoy your meal. You too. What?
Okay, so so we're here. We're doing this. This is a live call-in show. Please call us. We want to talk to you. We want to hear from you. We want to you know what I really am looking forward to? I want one of the trolls to call in. No, but I love anything you guys want to talk about. If you guys are fans or if you're just curious about game development or nerd stuff that we're into, call in and we'll talk. That's what it's all about. And I believe we support Discord chat now.
Yes, we do.
So if you are somewhere in the world you have internet access, but you don't want to use the telephone to dial a telephone number, you can use a microphone and speakers to reach us via Discord.
Yes.
And I believe we've done that. So
we have done that. We are ready to rock and roll on that.
Yeah. So let's see. What should we talk about? Let's talk about we're going to talk about our game of the year.
Oh yes.
So you should. So we'll get to that. What did you think of the holiday party? Gearbox had its 18th annual holiday party.
Wow. 18 of these.
18 years. Yeah. What'd you think? Did you have a good time?
I had a blast. I'm a sucker for ambiance and atmosphere.
Yeah.
And this had it in spades.
So the folks that planned the party decided this year to do a carnival theme. And we have some awesome people at Gearbox that go all out, and they had a midway with stilt walkers and jugglers.
That is so cool.
And then there was a sort of, in the midway there were carnival games.
Yeah.
And I played Flip the Chicken, where I had this rubber chicken on a catapult and you launch it into the thing. And they had the milk jug where you throw the balls into the milk jug and you try to get them to go inside the milk jug. I saw Kester nail it twice in a row, which I thought was impossible to get it once.
It's not surprising.
You know, they had the thing where you throw and you knock the things over, and those nobody, of course, can knock those over because they're probably nailed to the damn floor.
Yeah.
But it was cool, and people were winning prizes. And then there was Sideshow.
Yes.
We had who was it? We had Todd Robbins.
Yes.
And we had Anastasia Sin. And Anastasia put her blowtorch out on her tongue.
That was pretty great.
And she, what else did she do? She chewed up a razor blade.
Yeah, she did.
She actually broke her tooth.
No.
On the very last show, yes. The very last show, she broke her tooth. There's a technique to it. There's danger involved when you chew razor blades.
So that wasn't
you could
like
hurt yourself.
Okay, so that wasn't a silver stick of gum like I suspected. That was an actual razor blade.
There's a lot of Sideshow that's real, and you know, when she stuck the thing through her arm,
that's
that really went through her arm. Like stuck a needle right on through. What's the best part is when it's going in, like when you see this part.
Yeah.
You're like, you're not sure. You know, you're like, eh.
Like, oh, that's a
But then
fake
when it tents on the other end, when like the skin kind of like does this like tenting action.
Yeah.
That's freaking gross.
Content warning.
And then the needle comes through. So they did real Sideshow, and we timed it perfectly where the main stage Sideshow was right after dinner. So
Smelly Snout says Gearbox sounds cuddly based on all of this stuff. It's like yes, we do have a good time.
But we gave away. Everyone got a present.
Yes.
We opened our presents, and I got a bunch of D&D books.
I was gonna say you got yourself some pretty sweet loot.
Present number 69, and they were
Rigged.
all Dungeons and Dragons books.
Rigged.
Which one did you get?
I got the Elgato Stream Deck.
Oh, nice.
Which is
Perfect.
very appropriate.
That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. There was a lot of cool stuff there. We do a White Elephant game too, and I saw like the Nintendo Switch changed hands a bunch of times.
Yeah, that was it. It got a little cutthroat over those Nintendo Switches.
There were a couple of those, and they were pretty in high demand, so that was pretty cool. There was a lot of stealing going on. Somebody stole an iPad. It was fun, but yeah, we celebrate often, and we like to I don't know. I think when we work hard together, it's fun to play hard together. And I don't know like how many of you work on teams, but accomplishing something in a team is really, really challenging because especially when there's creative people that want to pull in different directions. So you got to figure out how to get everybody kind of together in line. And then, but then when we do, we accomplish something. And when we accomplish things, we feel good about it. And so we like to celebrate that a lot. And it helps. I think it helps the performance and the character of the studio. Yeah. But who knows? Who knows?
And I think it says a lot that for the culture of people here at Gearbox that I had no problem seeing these people for a full day of work and then seeing them again all dressed up.
Yeah, it was kind of
after
fun.
work
And
by choice.
What was interesting too, like you can kind of tell when like usually, when you have a company kind of event like that, people do the event and then they get out of there. It's like, and everybody has a fun time and likes the show and stuff. But when it's over, people get out. But there were probably about 100 to 150 people that just didn't want to leave. And, and it could be that the bars were open. That might have been a component. That might have been a factor. But it was pretty cool just watching everybody have a good time, socialize, and hang out. And, Todd Robbins did this awesome bit with our CFO.
Yes.
So
which is so appropriate that he got chosen for this bit because it was a money bit.
He put a couple of peanuts in his hand and he looked in his pocket and found like 5 $1 bills. So the guy had his 5 $1 bills, our CFO, Stephen Ball, and he had these 2 peanuts. And he said, okay, here's the rules to this game. It's a con, but I'll tell you the rules. And all you have to do is follow the rules and you're good to go. And the rule is whatever question I ask you, The answer to the question is nuts. And he had these 2 peanuts in his hands, right? So just say nuts and you're good. Do you understand? He's like, yes.
Yep.
Takes $1 out of his hand. No, the answer is nuts. I'm going to tell you again. Do you understand the rules? And he says, nuts. All right. So he sets him up a bunch of times. He ends up obviously getting all his money. It's really great. The guy just can't say nuts. No. Something fun about that. So what else is going on?
Well, this is our last show of the year.
It is. We're going to take a couple of weeks hiatus because we've got Christmas and we've got New Year's.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give ourselves a break, but we'll be back right after the new year. And as it is the last show of the year, what a perfect time to talk about our Game of the Year picks.
Yes, exactly. And we already have, folks calling in. We definitely want to hear from you, to see what it is that you enjoyed this year.
Should we do our calls first, or should we go to the first call and kind of like prime the pump a little bit and see what happens?
Yeah, let's see what happens.
All right.
Why not?
We're gonna instead
Shake
of Elisa and I kind of doing our picks, we're gonna get on the phone with a caller and find out what some of you think.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's try this. And hey, is this Rick?
Yes, this is Rick.
Hey, Rick, you're on the air. This is Randy and Elisa.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Hey, pleased to meet you both.
Awesome.
You know me as Athlon Dude.
Oh, hey, awesome.
Athlon!
Good to hear from you, man.
How's it going?
How are things in Missouri? Is it cold there?
It's a little cool.
Yeah?
It's a little cool.
Yeah.
Not real bad yet, but it's getting there.
All right.
Getting there.
All right. Yeah, it's currently 50 degrees here in
Crisp.
Texas, but we had a freeze like a week and a half ago, but we came right back out of it because it's Texas, so our weather's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So how are things going?
Things are going good. We actually just got home today. We've been in the hospital all week. My wife had been in the hospital. She'd had surgery, and then she had to have surgery again to clear up a complication from surgery, so we ended up staying longer than we wanted to.
Well, congrats on getting home.
But yeah,
I bet that's nice. What how's she doing? Is she through the worst of it, or?
Oh yeah. It wasn't anything invasive. What it was, she had a surgery to remove some excess skin from a prior a weight loss surgery.
Ah.
And what had happened is they would check her blood level every day, and it kept dropping, and they weren't sure what was causing it. So Friday they had to go back in and open it up and clear out what was going on.
Man.
And so they finally got it under control. So yeah, it was a little scary, but she made it through.
Wow.
Okay, well that's good. It's good to hear.
I am very squeamish. I actually have a vasovagal response, which is look it up. When sometimes I have to get blood drawn. Sometimes you're giving blood or you have a test done, and I will faint. I'm like a fainting goat. Boom, I'm out. And this is, but it only happens when it's when blood's being drawn. That's the only thing that will cause me to faint. Blood being drawn from me. But thinking about it too much makes me squeamish.
Yeah, okay.
So when I go to do this, I have to think about other stuff, and I have to like totally distract myself. And one time I went in to get blood drawn, and I just looked to the right, just looked away from where the needle was going in, and looked at the wall, and on the wall was a poster with puppy dogs.
Oh.
And I think for most people that'd be great.
Yeah.
But I'm not a pet person. And I was like, oh God, no.
Oh, no.
So it was, but whatever, we got bigger problems than this. So I'm thinking you've played a lot of games this year, Rick.
Yes, I did. I sure did.
What are some of the highlights for you?
Biggest highlights for me, there was a game that Team 17 put out called Avon Colony.
Yeah.
I really liked that game.
Yeah.
Awesome game.
I love what those guys are doing. Did Team 17 develop that or they published it?
I'm not exactly sure.
Because Team 17,
I know it had their label on it.
Yeah, those guys are publishing a lot of really interesting stuff right now. I'm kind of proud and like stoked that they're doing what they're doing. I've always been a fan of Team 17, and
ever since Alien Breed.
And like Worms just owns me. So like I have a lot of fond memories of different Worms games over the years, and but those guys have done so many great things over the years, and yeah, that they're publishing other people's stuff right now, which is really cool of them. Because I know what it's like when you're an indie developer trying to, get attention for your product and just get your product in the hands of customers, and it's a struggle. A lot of people have this idea that, if you're a game developer, you just make a thing and then, you get your name on the title and you're in the Ferrari in the garage. But it's a struggle. There's a lot of starving artists out there just trying to make it work. And I dig that Team 17's getting behind some of these indie guys and helping them find a voice. Yeah. Awesome. That's cool. So is that your game of the year pick, or is that just one of the games you thought was great?
Well, it would be my game of the year pick for that genre.
Okay.
I think my game of the year pick, my ultimate game of the year so far, the one that's really got me hooked, has been Battlefront 2.
Nice.
I love that game.
Outstanding. I thought they did a pretty good job, actually. And I mean, I know there was a lot of controversy about the some of the monetization stuff that they did in the game, but what a shame that controversy hit them, given all the great work that was done and all the great content that's there. And it looks like they're adapting fast, but I think they deserve a lot of credit for going in deeper with a campaign game, something they didn't do with the Battlefront 1 as much, and I don't know. It's really fun stuff, and if you dig Star Wars, it's it's about as good as it gets.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the drawing factors for it for me, was they were going to have a campaign, and when I played the campaign, it was just amazing. The actress that got to play Iden was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean, she was spot on. Everything. Yeah. I'd look back and like, you know what? I would watch that movie before I watched any of the first 3 episodes that George Lucas came out with. Take her over Jar Jar any day.
I'll tell you. What's interesting? There's this thing going on right now where a lot of people are. They're pooping on the new movies, and they're celebrating the prequels, which is so fascinating to me. Like the world's so weird. It's just evidence of something you and I have talked about on Twitter, I think, which is subjective taste just cannot be quantified and cannot be controlled. Everyone's got opinions. Everyone's got their own tastes. Did you see the new Star Wars movie?
I saw it last night. Last night I was in St. Louis with the wife, and when we found out that she wasn't going to go home yesterday again, I was just like, I was so frustrated, and I was like, I'm going stir crazy here. I'm cabin fever. I've been stuck here for 6 days. I got to get out and do something. So I left and I went to the nearest theater and I watched it, and I really, really liked it.
Yeah.
There was a couple of things in there I didn't care for, like some of the.
Be careful about the spoilers. Yeah. Be careful about spoilers. There might be some people listening that haven't seen it yet, and
no spoilers, okay. But yeah, there was just some interesting decisions that they did that I didn't care for. But I mean, overall, I loved the movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was
amazing.
I thought it was well worth my price of admission.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, as movies go, I felt like it was one of the bigger, like more valuable events that I've probably seen in a theater in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of good stuff, but I mean, it was good for my money.
Yeah, I felt
really
a great
good about
time.
my decision for my time and my money with it. So.
Yeah, I had a great time, and I could see where people might have qualms with it, but overall, I had a good experience.
It's interesting. It gets held to a higher standard, I think, than other things.
I also thought it was.
People want perfection, and there's no such thing. And perfection's different for each audience, right?
And I think there's something.
It was better than the new Alien movie.
Well,
there you go. Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said for a movie that incites a discussion, and then people sort of cap their kind of hot take off with, but I'll have to see it a couple of more times. Like, you actively want to pay money multiple times to see this thing and deepen your criticism and form an opinion. I'm like, okay, well
that's
this
great.
thing must
They're
have
winning.
Been, yeah,
They're winning.
there you go.
Yeah, the Alien movie's interesting. I think I know something about how difficult it is to please everybody in that franchise. But I'm glad that they keep swinging at it, because I really love the franchise. And right on. Any other games? Hit you that you want to talk about?
I did like. What was it? Shadow of War.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm actually playing that right now. I haven't finished it yet, but I really dig that style of game. I'm loving the combat. I love the growth. I like chopping
Oh,
heads
yeah.
off of orcs.
I mean, yeah.
Did you
Oh,
play?
yeah.
Did you play? Did you play Shadows of Mordor? The one before this one?
I played it. I haven't finished either one of them yet.
Okay, yeah. I finished
As long
Shadows.
as I got.
Yeah, I finished Shadows of Mordor. I haven't finished Shadows of War yet, but I love it. It's so great.
Yeah, awesome games. Awesome.
Yeah. Do you
And,
have?
and Monolith has always done. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Do you remember in the previous Shadows of Mordor? I don't recall being able to decapitate, and it's really something I like doing. So it could be that I'm confusing it with the Roman game that came out. That was a launch title for Xbox One. What title was that? Do you remember?
Rise. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rise, Son of Rome.
That's right. Yeah, that one I wanted to decapitate people, and
It's a very sticky mechanic.
But it's so fun to chop heads off. You know?
Yes, it is. That's one of my favorite parts of the game. And that when you have to go suck scan them or suck the soul out of them, whatever, their head pops.
Oh,
that's awesome.
So great. I don't know why it's
Exploding
fun.
heads is amazing. You know?
Here's the thing, man. They're video games. There's no violence in video games. It's depictions of violence, and no one gets hurt. And orcs don't have constituents, you know? So it's like... my brain, what I can do in my imagination is a million times worse than anything that will ever be in a video game. So, let us have our fun, damn it. I want to pop heads and,
Sometimes a little catharsis ain't a bad thing.
Well, we know it. We know it seems to be okay. We've got, there was the argument that people used to make that the video game violence would create real behavior. And of course, that can't be true because there's about 100 million units of Grand Theft Auto 5 out there, and yet, we're not all robbing banks and stealing cars and shooting people in the street.
Right, I haven't beat up a hooker and stole their money yet. So
I know, right? We're still above board. These are things we can aspire to virtually. It's I'll tell you though, I really so let me ask you something. You played both Borderlands games, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All three.
When it comes to 1, 2, and pre-sequel. Yeah, pre-sequel was kind of like we use the same engine as 2, So for the question, I was just thinking of like before 2 and after 2. And here's the question: do you remember the differences in how the feedback and violence simulation existed between those two games? Did you feel those differences?
Yes, definitely.
What do you prefer?
I preferred 2.
Really? Okay.
Yes, I do.
I thought
I haven't fully been. Go ahead.
1 to me, I like 2 as an overall game. I'm talking specifically about like the feedback and the violence and like what happens when you hit a guy with acid gun versus shoot him in the head versus pop him in the leg.
Yeah.
And there's animals too. There's not just human enemies. But one was a little more graphic in its depiction of the feedback simulation, whereas 2 we really toned it down a little bit because we wanted to ship the same game in Japan and Germany and South Korea that we shipped elsewhere in the world, and those countries have different, more strict rules about depictions of violence. So, I'm kind of I don't know. I like 1 more in the violence category, but I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of a sick weirdo. Cool. Well, what about 2? Did you like more in that regard?
I think there was more personality in 2.
Okay. So you're talking about the game overall. I was talking specifically
about overall.
Okay. I was talking specifically about feedback.
I didn't really like 1.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I 1 was kind of we just barely got there, and we were figuring out how that game worked, So I think we obviously learned a lot in how to build narrative, and learned a lot in our technology and just the overall kind of polish of the experience. But I was specifically about the very narrow component of the feedback I get when I shoot a guy. That's the part I was talking about. I think that was one thing that that one thing is where 1 might have done something better than 2. So cool.
Well, again, it still comes back to the personality of the game, because when you killed somebody in 2, there was more of a comic relief part to it. And the first one, there was because there wasn't so much personality, hardly any at all. You didn't get that, so it seemed more serious, and I guess therefore more deadly.
Yeah.
for lack of better words.
Yeah. All
So,
right.
and I think that's what made Borderlands 2 a more accepting game.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well,
that make sense?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Well, it certainly performed great commercially. So, I mean, that scoreboard, right? Hey, man. So it's really awesome to talk to you. I think this is the first time I talked to you in person. But
Yeah, it is.
Anything else you want to chat about before we let you go?
What was it? What was I gonna say? I wanted to touch base back on last week's episode. You were talking about, I think it was last week. You were talking about what kind of games people would like, or pitch your game or something.
Oh yeah. You got a pitch for me?
Now, yeah, I actually
do
do.
it.
I've got a couple. You
Oh,
know, and
shoot.
they're
Okay.
Let's
both
get into it.
remakes.
All right.
They're both remakes.
Okay.
Cool.
You know, I mean, well, I'll throw a third one out there. Of course, you know I want another Aliens game. Probably not
Me
going to
too.
happen, but I still want one.
Me too. I'd love that.
But
Yeah, that's
I would
complicated.
really like you to. Yeah, I bet. I would like to see you get the license to the Dungeon Siege series.
Oh wow. Yeah. I don't even
And
know
see
where
a remaster of those games. I love those games. Those are awesome.
I don't know
games.
where that one sits. I mean, let's
Me either.
see. Who did Microsoft publish the first Dungeon Siege? I have no
Yeah,
idea.
they did.
I have no idea. I guess
It
it's
was
probably
Microsoft games.
Yeah.
Gas-powered games made it for
Yeah,
them.
no. Chris Taylor developed it with his team at Gas Powered Games. I remember that. And I think he works for wargaming.net now. I guess somebody really passionate about that would have to knock on Microsoft's door. They don't really let IP go, even if they're not using it.
Right.
So I don't.
Right.
That's a tricky one. But
Right.
yeah, someone I'd love to play that again. That'd be nice to see that guy come back. I remember the
other
marketing.
one I had
The
in
marketing.
mind-
The marketing for Dungeon Siege. One of the cleverest things. This was the pitch worked so well. It's like, this is a classic, dungeon hack and slash RPG, but for the first time, if you've only lost a couple of hit points, you don't have to drink the whole potion. You could drink half a potion. That was like one of their pitched features in the game, and it worked. Oh yeah. Yeah, I hate when I have to waste the potion.
I could just have a sip. Yes.
Oh man, right on. So what was the other thing you were thinking about?
The other game that I'd like to see you get a hold of and do something with is, I don't know if you ever remembered it or played it. It's called Strife.
Yeah, I remember Strife. Yeah, that was Rogue.
It came out
I think Rogue made that. Right?
Rogue Entertainment.
Yeah.
Yep, on the Doom engine.
Yep.
Doom 2 engine,
Yeah,
actually.
Rogue's just down the street. I think they'd love to
Right.
revisit that too. It's interesting. That was one of the first. It kind of had a little bit of fantasy and a little bit of stealth
RPG in it.
and RPG in the Doom engine. Like it was, I think that was way ahead of its time. Yeah, that was a cool
Yeah, it
game.
really was.
Yeah, that game was
Definitely one of my favorites. And I see Borderlands and I see Strife, and I'm like, they look kind of like you.
There's
It'd
a
be really
little
cool
bit.
to see that.
I think Strife could be considered a common ancestor to Borderlands. It's like kind of a primordial ancestor. Because it is first person and there is some RPG in it.
Right.
And and those guys went on to do some other clever stuff with putting RPG into FPS. When they worked on, they helped the enemy territory with was it Quake or Wolfenstein? It was one of those, but there was an RPG element to the multiplayer game, which is really crazy. But yeah, those guys are rad. They're down the street. I don't know if you know this, but the Nerve guys help us a lot in different things. They've worked on a lot of different Gearbox games over the years. So the guys that made Strife, their work is in a whole bunch of different Gearbox games and games that are currently in development.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it is cool. Right on, man. Well, hey, thanks for your call, man. I'm going to let you go, and I think Elisa and I are going to talk about our Game of the Year picks.
Yeah.
So if you're welcome to listen in.
Sounds good.
And if you want to call back next week, I'll be happy to talk to you again.
Or next year, rather.
No problem. You'll have
I'm sorry.
a Christmas.
Next year, yeah, we got 2 weeks
All right,
off.
next year.
2 weeks off. Thanks, Elisa. All right, cheers. Hey, take it easy, Rick.
Yep. Merry Christmas to y'all.
Bye.
Hi. Awesome. Okay,
Right on.
so we have a contender.
Okay.
For Game of the
let's
Year.
see. By the way, if you have any interest in talking to us about Game of the Year or anything at all,
Anything else?
you can give us a call. Numbers on the screen. You could also reach us on the Discord. That's on the screen. And I think we should talk about what we think
Yeah.
our Game of the Year is. Have you thought about your lists?
Well, it's a very short list because time is a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of time being a thing that you do not have to
There's
play.
always time for games. Come on, Elisa.
Busy putting together an accolades trailer. No. So there's a lot of stuff.
Go back
that
early
came
in
out.
the year.
Go back early in the year. I mean, it's really interesting because I only got a Switch in November.
Okay.
I think I was swayed as soon as I saw Odyssey
I
coming
talked you into
out
it, didn't
and
Or Odyssey.
it's
Nintendo
just,
talked you into it.
and all this talk about Breath of the Wild and so far in so many conversations, Breath of the Wild, is kind of coming up as Game of the Year. But I feel like one of my sort of kind of pet projects this year, just I think for 2017 in general, was to just find just joy and experiences that just give me pure joy. And I think Odyssey is the thing that
That's
does
awesome.
it the most for me. And there's one particular moment in Odyssey in New Donk City that just sort of encapsulated that whole feeling of just I felt playing that game the way that I felt when I picked up Super Mario Galaxy and experiencing this whole new way of experiencing Mario. And then that brought me back to even the first time I played Super Mario World
Wow,
and seeing, that kind of colorful space and all the different things you could do in there. And so just because it kind of pulled at that particular heartstring, I was just, and it just does the coolest, weirdest stuff, and I'm in a world now where there's talking forks and like how I mean you can't be mad at that. And I don't know, and I think it's just the interplay of that game doing all those weird things but then having all of those callbacks to the things that made me fall in love with it in the first place, plus it being on this cool new platform,
Right.
where you just realize I can also have this experience on a plane, in a car, on a boat with a goat. Like I can take this with me wherever. I think just all of that put together, I think puts Odyssey right up there for me.
I'll tell you what, the Switch is a joy in that regard. It's really fun to be able to instantly go from a home console experience to a portable experience. And I think if you were to log all of my playtime on all different games, Switch probably has the most hours.
Wow.
And it cheats to earn it because I'm able to take it on the road with me, and
Yeah.
I do travel. But it earns it. It earns every bit of it. And I'm with you. I think Odyssey is not my game of the year, but it's a contender.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's such a great game. Man. So my game of the year is also a Switch game. It is Zelda.
Yeah.
And it's I feel kind of shitty about that because I mean the game absolutely deserves it in every way. But I there's always this kind of part in my soul that wants to recognize the weird new crazy stuff. Because I have so much respect when developers take risks and publishers take risks and try things that haven't been done before. And I feel like there's a lot of good contenders in that world.
Yeah.
I think Horizon turned out to
Yes.
be. I thought I absolutely hated the premise. I absolutely hated the premise. It's like what, you're hunting fucking robot dinosaurs? Like this is retarded, and I hate using that word, but it just felt like a dumb premise. But the game turned out to be pretty stunning and pretty remarkable, and overcame that problem. I think the premise served the gameplay, which was which is pretty interesting. I in virtual reality, there's a whole lot of interesting stuff that was being done, and unfortunately, I don't think there's like any like super standout like single cohesive experience that went over the top.
I mean, I can think of one.
Which one? Oh, Desert Buzz. I'll tell you though, I really
Game of the year.
it wasn't there were some flaws with it that I think held it back, but I really enjoyed Adrift. Do you know this game?
I feel like I've heard of it, but enlighten.
So you're on a space station. The game begins and you're coming to from being knocked unconscious, and the space station you're on has just been torn apart by something, and you're like floating in space, and your visor's cracked and you're out of oxygen, and you have to, and it's virtual reality, right? So you feel it immediately, and it's all 0G, and you get oxygen, and you got to kind of, figure out how to make it, and you go through this whole space station simultaneously turning things back on and getting the thing going again, so you can get on one of these escape pods and get out. But you're also kind of learning what went down and learning all the characters and their stories, and it absolutely killed it on atmosphere and experience. And I think that if the storytelling was a little more structured, and if the things you got to do were a little more exciting and interesting, this would have been like one of the most incredible experiences ever made. But as it already was one of the it was one of the showcase pieces for VR for me that really did something. I hear it makes some people nauseous.
Oh no, that's always my worry with VR.
Yeah, because you're in VR and it's 0G. So there's a lot of you have to kind of. But my brain was fine. So my brain handled it just fine. I really dug it, and I thought that was real. I recommend it if you have VR or if you're thinking about VR. Check out Adrift. Another one, by the way, for VR people out there is a game called Accounting. Have you heard of this?
No, but please tell me it's about actual accounting.
Not really.
Oh.
No. It was written by the Rick and Morty guys, and it's more of a demo than a game. I mean, there is interactivity, but it's like this sequence of shorts, and it very quickly becomes the bonkiest, craziest, nuts thing you've ever experienced. I love it. I love it so much. I keep telling everybody about it, saying if you have, and it's free. It's a free
that's fantastic.
VR demo game. Check it out. It's called Accounting. It's free, and it's called Accounting.
It's free and it's called Accounting.
I don't want to spoil you, but it is not safe for work.
Oh, okay.
There is mostly due to language.
Let's say for our work.
You end up one of the. You're going like deeper into this these virtual reality realms, and you end up in this place that's like kind of like a forest, and it's like some alien world that's foresty, and there's this little guy, this little thing, weird creature dude that comes out of this hole in this tree, and he just comes out and he's like, fuck you, man, what the fuck you, where are you, fucking, and he just starts cussing up like a hailstorm of swear. It works. But
it works.
If that offends you, then I've just offended you.
Yeah.
And in addition, this game will certainly offend you.
Yeah. Also, feel free to clip that section of the podcast and turn it into your ringtone. Great.
Wow. But I went with Zelda. I think it's just astonishing to me how the talent at Nintendo to deliver what they did and committing themselves to the limitations of their own platform, right? Because, I mean, I work with so many great people that if I went upstairs and said, guys, we're going to build Game of the Year, but we're going to do it on this hardware specification.
Oof.
Half of them would quit, and it's like, the Switch, it's basically an NVIDIA Shield, but it doesn't matter. Right? If you commit to the limitations of your platform, you can create beauty and experience, and you don't need all the memory in the world, and you don't need all the CPU cycles in the world. You can commit to what your limitations are and find a way. and it's something we have a hard time doing. We hate committing to our limitations at our studio, and it costs us, I think. But I think every game developer should look at Breath of the Wild as an example of how to do it. It's a beautiful, beautiful game, and it's so rich and so complete. Now, like all games, though, it is not perfect, and we can criticize it, but I choose to just appreciate it. So it is Breath of the Wild is my game of the year.
There you go. Nice, of course.
So what did the VGAs pick? I don't remember.
It was Breath of the Wild.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, it was Breath of the Wild, and it was kind of interesting. I thought that they were kind of sowing the seeds for an Odyssey win.
Oh, interesting. Who are the nominations?
Shoot, I believe it was Odyssey and Zelda. And then PUBG, which was an interesting choice, very controversial choice.
I remember when Keighley announced that, and I bitched at him like, dude, the game's not even finished yet. Why would you, like, how does that work? It's like beta.
Yeah.
It's early access. All right, I guess we're doing that now.
Yeah.
No question that it's that of the impact it's had.
Yes.
But it seems strange to judge a game.
I guess it's sort of, it kind of begs the question, what do you mean by game of the year?
Yeah.
Is it based on pure kind of impact, or is it what is it actually based on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what defines game as in being out versus early access?
One of the great things about the VGAs and the fact that it exists and that Keighley's able to make it successful is he is finding that line between the commercialism of the show and trying to honor and respect things in the industry, but it's got to ride that line.
Yeah.
And because it isn't just, it is a commercial enterprise, and if he doesn't make as much as he spends, we don't get to have a show anymore, right? So he's got to figure out, like, contrast with the Oscars, for example, where I think it's been over a decade since any Oscar nominee for Best Picture has been in the box office top 20 domestic. Right, so there's almost an inverse relationship in the film industry between critical acclaim and commercial success, whereas in the game industry it's still very tied together. Commercial success and critical acclaim they've been linked.
Yeah,
they've been inexorably linked, and I don't know how we can get past that. I kind of hoped and wished that our academy, because we have an Academy of Interactive Arts,
right.
And I kind of wish that would be the path to separate it. But the problem is, it takes too much energy to consume all of the games.
Yeah.
Films, you're 90 minutes of commitment, and even that, no one can watch every movie that comes out in a year, right? But video games, it's a little more than 90 minutes, so it's not possible. So what tends to happen is the things that tend to win tend to be the things that just were seen the most. It's just a function of eyeballs, because we can't see everything. We can't consume everything, and that's one of the interesting trade-offs that our industry has. Yeah. So let's see. What else should we talk about here? We've got somebody about to get in the. Do I drag this guy down?
No, not yet.
Okay,
they have to talk to Joe
Joe's
first.
So we got a screener who's
they have to get through Joe.
All right, cool.
They have to get through the gauntlet, and by the gauntlet, I mean Joe.
Right on.
In order to make it through. But right. So we kind of talked about like Switch as a platform.
Yeah.
And both of kind of our major picks came from that. What's your kind of stance on, like, have you been playing any awesome mobile games lately? Have you had any good mobile experiences?
No. The short answer is no. To me, mobile games, are a guilty distraction. Like, I play mobile games and I hate myself. I hate myself to me, it's like if I had some nasty habit, like if I, chewed my toenails and ate them, like, I'd be ashamed of myself. But it's something that I do sometimes, So that's what happens with mobile games. I'm ashamed of myself and I don't want to admit it. But there are times, though, I'm, in bed about to go to sleep, and I'll just mess around with something, or I'm on a plane, or I'm out in the world somewhere, and my phone's just with me. It's just with me. So, here, let me look. Let me see if
because
there's
I have a
good.
game
What do you
that I've been playing lately that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's called Reigns, Her Majesty.
So I played it. I played Reigns. I bought it. I know. Leah Alexander who wrote it, and there's some clever writing in it. The game's kind of whatever. I mean, it's like the game fundamentally boils down to can you guess which with this question, can you guess which of these 5 resources it's going to add to and subtract to? And once you work all that out, I mean, it's not even as good as blackjack. You know what I mean? Because there is an optimal way you can play it every time. And the fact that I don't know like what it's like, sometimes it's totally non-intuitive, and that kind of discovery isn't fun to me. That said, the writing's fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that's hooking me.
The premise is cool, and I think it's clever that they came up with a game design that just fundamentally comes down to swiping left or swiping right. But I already have that game. It's called Tinder. No. But yeah, I have it right here. Reigns, Her Majesty.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's that.
Let's see. Oh, anything I wanna call attention to.
I also like Flip Flop Solitaire. That's super fun.
I haven't tried that one.
That one's fun.
I downloaded Game Dev Tycoon on my iPad, but that's not really a mobile game. It's made mobile, but it's actually a game that used to be on PC, and that's kind of good. There's a game called Warbits. I don't know when it came out, but it's basically a phone version of Advance Wars. Do you remember Advance Wars for the DS? Tactics game, strategy game. You have like little tank and infantry units that you can move on this grid. Warbits is a mobile version of Advance War, except it's not as good in a lot of different ways. It's slower, and the mission design isn't as elegant, and but it's the best approximation to Advance Wars I've seen, and it is on mobile, which is nice. I don't know when it came out. I think it might be a 2017 game, but it might have been before that. I play a little Clash Royale.
Yeah, I used to be super heavily into it.
It's a 1v1 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's it's not bad. It's a competitive game, and I'm not like competitive games aren't my favorite. I downloaded Monument Valley 2. I downloaded Monument Valley 1. I never finished Monument Valley 1, but I played it. I respect that there's some clever puzzles. Yeah. Some of them are stimulating.
It's gorgeous.
It is beautiful. But again, it's like kind of just. And I hate being judgmental about this stuff because I respect Monument Valley a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible that they committed to the platform and delivered something that is engaging and fun.
It's really interesting is that since I switched,
and the price is really great for the game. So if you are a mobile, I recommend Monument Valley, but it has no hope of ever being considered a Game of the Year contender for me anyway. What else? God, there's really nothing great.
Yeah, like not a lot hooked me in on mobile. If anything, the only thing that I played almost religiously on mobile is HQ, which is the live trivia app. Yeah,
that's cool. Oh, you know what I did like? I don't know if it's new or not, but I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Heads Up, where there's a clue and you hold it up.
Oh yeah.
I like the fun game. There was another game that came out a few years ago that I played on my iPad that I thought was really genius. It was called Fingal. Two people. It's a co-op game. Two people. You put your fingers on it, and like two people have to play it, and sometimes you have to use all your fingers and maneuver around. And and they do fun stuff where like somebody has their fingers like this, and they have to do that because the things are moving.
Right.
And the other person has to put their finger here and do that.
Oh,
and there's it's really kind of a fun co-op game. It's like Innuendo Twister on an iPad.
Nice.
And Twister, of course, the pieces can't move, but on an iPad they can. So you get movement into it. That was really clever.
We do have somebody on Discord ready to go.
Let's take a call.
We got Glenn who wants to calling from Denmark.
Let's try it.
All right, we got Den calling from Glenmark.
Hey Glenn, Denmark. You're on the line. How's it going?
Welcome and greetings from Denmark.
Hey!
Hey, how's it going up in Denmark? Are you guys cold?
Yeah, there's a little bit of snow and, just around the freezing point here.
Oh,
boy.
Good.
Man, so it's 50 degrees Celsius here in Texas, which is about what? What is that? About 18 degrees Celsius?
Oh gosh, I can't.
17 or 18?
I can't math
17?
today.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, so we're doing okay. So what's on your mind? Do you want to talk about Game of the Year? Do you want to talk about other stuff? What's on your mind?
Well, of course, both my Game of the Year is actually Postal 2 and Duke Nukem.
Those are. What year are we? Are you in a time machine? I think the time machine just popped open and you came out because Postal 2 and Duke Nukem are. Those aren't 2017 games.
I don't think so.
But I imagine the Running with Scissors guys are pretty stoked. Which Duke Nukem are you talking about here?
Well, we're both talking about Duke Nukem Forever.
Oh, okay.
And the Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary Edition.
Oh, awesome. Did you play through the new episode in the 20th Anniversary edition?
Yes, I went through the whole game again.
That's awesome. So I designed the London map in the 20th Anniversary edition. And
that's pretty cool.
I got a big time assist from Levelord because as I was starting to work on it, I ran into a lot of other priorities. So Richard helped finish that up. But to me, the 20th Anniversary edition was such a great opportunity to get Richard and Alan back together, making levels in the tools, in the classic game. And I love those guys so much, and I love their creativity so much, and I was just so thrilled that we were able to create a vehicle for them to bring us just a little bit more content and add a 5th episode to Duke Nukem 3D. How cool is that?
That's really awesome.
Yeah. So what did you think of the new episode?
Well, actually, I'm pretty impressed with the content in the last episode.
Yeah, thank you. I know the guys worked really hard on it, and earlier we were talking about Nerve. They helped a lot too. They made a lot of the art, and the Nerve guys really helped out, and they did all the engine work for the 20th Anniversary edition. So our 20th Anniversary World Tour.
Yes.
Yeah, because we took Duke to all the different cities, not all of them, but some of them. 9 of them, I think. How many maps do we add? One of the cool things, though, it was so weird, because we thought, okay, We'll do this thing. We'll add this new episode. Get all these people back together. Put this team together. Make this happen. And I think when we launched it, we charged $20 for it.
Something like that.
Yeah. And back when Duke 3D originally launched, way back in the day, the Plutonium pack was $20. And this is yet again a whole new episode, but also came with the original game and came with a new engine and a whole bunch of other stuff. And yet there was a whole bunch of whiners really complaining, and it's like we didn't make any money on the game. In fact, we're still behind. And
I think it was worth every buck.
Well, I think so too, even though we haven't made any money off of it. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to create some goodwill. Mm-hmm. And it's frustrating when some of the people can't, value, like if you're so jaded that you don't think that people like Alan and Richard deserve to be paid for their work. It just breaks my heart. But oh man, I'm looking at kids. I'm looking at kids down in the coffee shop, just absolutely destroying these
Oh
boards.
no!
They're just going through, just tearing them apart.
Oh
no! Where are their parents? The kids just like dumping Monopoly money all over the floor. Oh God! Look at that. Oh God!
For you podcast listeners,
we should put the camera on that. It's just it's so distracting.
For you podcast listeners, there are strange things afoot at Nerdvana Coffee. All sorts of fun things.
That parent could care less. That parent standing right there just watching his kid just destroy all this stuff. Well, all right.
It's interesting watching the stream because I'm a software developer myself.
Okay. Oh, what kind of software do you develop?
Well, I'm actually an Object Pascal programmer. I've been working with the language for like 16 years now.
Holy crap! That's crazy. I moved Pascal very briefly from an early version of Pascal from BASIC in 1985 or 6, and I played with Pascal for about a year and a half. And that was the last time I played with Pascal. What are you making in Pascal these days?
Well, lots of different things. I make a lot of multi-platform applications for both businesses and also a couple of small games.
One of the things I love about Pascal is it's so easy to read.
Exactly.
It's really easy to read, and it's is if you're writing code that you won't like that someone else will pick up and they won't be able to talk to you, it's probably one of the best languages for that.
Makes sense.
Or if you're picking up somebody else's code, you want to figure out what the hell's going on. It's one of the best languages for it's just easy to read. I used to love Pascal for that. Well, man, that's crazy. So what other kind of games? Have you played any new games in 2017?
Well, I tried a bit of the Destiny 2 game.
Oh, what'd you think?
Well, I'm not that impressed. Of course, the gameplay feels a bit wonky for my taste.
Yeah.
Of course, graphic-wise, sound-wise, it's very impressive. But
yeah, those guys kill it on production value. Yeah. The other thing I love about Bungie is they seem to get melee, like the melee attack. Like every time, it's really gratifying. But yeah, what's weird is I really wanted to love both Destiny and Destiny 2. I really wanted to love them. And Christy and I played a little bit of Destiny 1, but it didn't grab us, so we just kind of let it go. And then we bought Destiny 2 together, hoping to play co-op together, and it didn't get us. It just completely missed us. And I don't know what the deal is, because it has everything I like.
Yeah.
I can't explain it.
Yeah, kind of same thing with us. Like we played Destiny 1 for a while, and it kind of became, especially with the bounty system, it became like a nightly, like, okay, we're going to wind down, do a few bounties, then go to sleep. Wind down,
that's
do a
cool.
few bounties, then go to sleep. So it kind of became this sort of routine thing. Destiny 2 kind of rolls around, and I did see some improvements and everything, but I don't know. I think it just sort of coming around during a time when there was just so many other kind of cool experiences, and for some reason it kind of just didn't really get its hooks in us as much this time around.
There's so much choice right now.
Yeah,
there's so many options. That's tricky. Yeah, I wonder how it performed. Did you see anything? I haven't even paid attention.
Like
sales wise.
Yeah, like I think it's doing well, by game standards, but I don't know if it's sort of smashing.
I wonder if it did better, the same, or worse than Destiny 1.
Good question.
That's interesting. Activision's good though, because apparently Call of Duty World War II is doing great.
Oh, good for them.
So,
sweet.
Right on. Anything else you played this year?
Well, I actually tried. Well, I'm a bit of an older guy because in terms of games, because.
Me too, man. I like a few weeks ago I fired up freaking Yurkwon Masters, Star Control 2. Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
I like fired that up like 3 weeks ago and played it till 5 a.m. Like it was, so I totally get it.
For example, I'd really like to take a couple of rounds in, for example, Quake 3.
Yeah. Yep. Do you play multiplayer or do you play against bots?
Sometimes I play against bots. Other times it's multiplayer. It's a bit of kind of mood.
How do you find a multiplayer game with Quake 3 these days? Is the master server still running, or are there like other what's the best way to play Quake 3 these days?
Well, it's usually I play with some of my friends.
Oh, I see. I got you. Yeah, I play a LAN game. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. There's a game that we are working on right now that's kind of secret. It's called Project 1v1. That's the code name. It'll have a real name soon. And you could sign up for it. If you like old school games and you like Quake, it's not Quake.
No.
It's not Quake. But if you like old school and you like, a 1v1 multiplayer kind of, like that old school kind of vibe, it's definitely a new game and the graphics will blow you away. It's really amazing. But check it out. And I think you can go to, is there project1v1.com or something?
Yes.
So I think if you go to project1v1.com, you can throw your email in there, and if you're not already on the list, I don't know when the next round of invites are going out, but you might get lucky and get selected. We will probably be doing something. What is it? February?
Potentially.
I can't remember.
I'm playing coy.
I think it's February. I can spill beans. They're my beans. But
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it might be as late as
They are your beans.
It might be as late as April. But what's cool? There's a couple cool things about it. It's fun as hell. Like we have some professional esports gamers that are beating it up with us, and it's getting really honed. But it's also it's got some technologies in it that are useful for us for other things that aren't announced that we're working on, and so it's really exciting for me on a few different levels. But if you like that, you definitely want to check it out. It's I think it's gonna be a lot of fun for a lot of people and surprising for a lot of people. So yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting.
Yeah,
definitely going to sign up.
Well, one of the things that's happening, there's in the world where it seems like everyone is racing at like more and more players. We're kind of going the other way with it. Instead of trying to do like 100-player battle royale kind of game, it's like the opposite direction of that. It's getting more intimate with the interaction. So yeah. Cool. Right on. Hey, anything else you want to chat about since we have you on the line?
Actually,
yeah. Okay.
I have a question about Duke Nukem.
Okay, do it. Let's talk about Duke. I love talking about Duke. It's one of my favorite things to talk about.
I'm a very long time fan. I actually, back when I was 6 years old, I got the Duke 3D game.
Wow.
Played all the games several times for the platform.
Awesome.
But I remember back in the time when they announced the Duke Nukem Forever and the project dragged on and I got more and more frustrated.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, and back in the day, I actually, put down a draft for a new story that took a bit of a turn, as a counterplay to Duke Nukem Forever. And now when the technology has been, more modern, we have more computing power, VR. I was wondering if Gearbox at some point will be interested in producing a Duke game where you're, taking some of the elements from Half-Life, where you're not holding the player in the hand. You're leaving the player to solve the puzzles to advance in the game.
Yeah, I love Half-Life, and in fact, I think in many ways Half-Life was an evolution of Duke 3D, in the sense that it alternated between combat spaces and puzzle spaces, and it evolved the puzzle spaces. It definitely took advantage of entering a fully 3D world, but it cared about its sense of place and its sense of character. And prior to Half-Life, I think Duke Nukem was really the first game in the first-person genre to commit to that, I guess, and let it happen. And I think I'd love to play something that's with the same kind of design principles and design mentality as Half-Life. And that could be done in a Duke Nukem game for sure. It could be done in other games too. It's really interesting in a world where we will probably never get something that will resemble what we all kind of wished would have happened with Half-Life 2 going on to a Half-Life 3 or a Half-Life 2 Episode 3. We'll never get that, and no one's really moved to fill that void. There's been a couple of games that kinda, but not really. And I think that's, man. The thing about that though is that it requires that kind of game. I think to compete this day and age would probably be about an $80 to $90 million budget, and there's not many people in the world that can commit to that. But if someone did, I have a feeling that they would be really successful with it, and I would really like to encourage that to happen. I think that should happen, and I think that would be great if that happened. I think Duke Nukem could do it. I don't know that we can do it with Duke Nukem on our own. And so we have a couple of things going on with Duke, and Duke's got a couple of things going on without us. With us, but that we're not doing with it. That we're helping other people do, and there's some things that we're playing with. We haven't announced anything big yet. But I think the kind of game that you imagine that's like a Half-Life Duke Nukem game, I think is something that we'd have to partner with some people that can really help bring something like that to market with us. And I'd love to do it. I think that'd be a really fun game to make.
Indeed. That's I know that would be a massive undertaking throughout the whole game.
What's interesting about that is, I mean, we're probably the only ones that can do it. I mean, like, we worked in Half-Life, and we own Duke, and I worked in Duke.
That's
I mean, I built 4 of the maps in the Atomic Edition, and I built a third of Opposing Force. The maps I produced and directed the whole thing. Half-Life Opposing Force, and same with Blue Shift. I produced and directed that. Yeah, I mean, I love that genre. That was the whole thing is really something that's kind of part of my DNA, I think. So we'll see. It's a dream. Hopefully, it doesn't stay as a dream forever.
Indeed.
It's nice to know there'd be customers for a game like that.
That's true.
So, what should this theoretical game be called? You mentioned VR. I think Alan Blum had the perfect title. Alan Blum said to me, "Hey, here's what you do. If you do the next Duke game and you do it in VR, you got to call it Duke Nukem 5R, 5ever, and it's the 5 is the V and the R, so it's Duke Nukem 5ever. But the 5 is a V, and then you just put the R after it.
That's a clever one.
Nice.
That's Alan. That guy's a genius. I'm like, I have 10% of the cleverness he does, if I'm lucky. Alan's great. Hey, that's awesome. Anything else you want to chat about while you're on the line?
Well, that's all for now.
Cool. Did you play Forever?
Yes,
What'd you think?
As soon as the game was announced to be released, and I put in a pre-order for the special edition. All in all, I think it was a good game, despite all the hoops and bumps it went through the whole development.
It's insane what it went through.
Yeah. Though technology-wise, I would say the Unreal Engine 3, it came in a bit late.
It was really an iterated Unreal 2X. What it actually was. I think that, I mean, there's a lot of things people can talk about to criticize the game. My problem is I saw it through a lens of knowing where it came from. And so to me it was a miracle. Because where it came from was not a great place. And and the other thing too is I was grateful. I didn't work on Forever, by the way. But I obviously, my company produced the version that came to the public. We worked with this group called Triptych, which was about half of the team from 3D Realms after 3D Realms laid everybody off, and they reformed as Triptych, and we worked with them, and they put everything together, and our producers helped them get it onto the consoles, get it on all platforms, and get a multiplayer game made. But I got to play it kind of not objectively, but I got to play it like as a close kind of arm's length bystander and interested and invested party. And I was grateful, frankly, that it got to exist instead of the other way that story could have gone, which is none of us would have ever seen whatever happened. So I'm grateful that it got to exist, and B, there was some gameplay in it, some moments in it that you could only do in Duke Nukem that were just crazy, insane. like the part like when you're in Duke Burger Shrunk Down, like that was just great. I loved that so much. And there's the interaction with the Dylan guy where like you're shrinking each other and you throw a little Dylan over the wall. Like there was just cool little bits in there that I thought were just awesome. But yeah, I think that I think those guys. I mean, you could feel every year of its 15 years in that final result. You could feel every year, including 1999.
But the only thing I'm a bit disappointed about the game is the levels. It's not as open as you were used to in Duke 3D.
Yeah, they got a bit more linear in it. For the most part, there are some exceptions to that, but yeah, it was, and that it became more like Halo in that regard, and abandoning the whole. There's a line at I don't need no fucking key card, right? Where they abandoned the whole. But the key card gameplay though did let you kind of have to kind of explore and consume the map. Before you could move on to the next thing, and it was layered because of the key cards, but you really had to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And forever kind of linearized that. They also went to the two weapons model where you can only carry 2 weapons at a time, which I think frustrated a lot of gamers that think of Duke Nukem as being able to carry everything.
He's Duke.
Yeah, he's Duke. He can carry all of the guns. Right on. Hey, well, anything else you want to chat about while you're on the line with us?
Oh, no, that's all for now.
Awesome. Hey, well, thanks for your call and thanks for your time. And
have fun in Denmark.
Yeah, thanks for calling. And I hope you consume some of the other great games that came out this year. There's a lot of good stuff out there. You said you're old school. It sounds like you're an old school shooter guy, but I obviously highly recommend Zelda, my game of the year, and the Nintendo Switch. Thanks for calling, Glenn. We'll talk to you later.
Will do.
All right, cheers.
Nice.
Cheers.
Great.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah.
I was actually quite nice. What is it now? It seems like Duke Nukem is really popular in Denmark.
Really?
Yeah. It's weird in Germany too. Like it's really big over there. I wish I could figure out why exactly.
Worth looking into.
Yeah, man. One of the things that's tricky is, Duke is such an interesting character. He's probably the most famous character that Gearbox, has, and Duke deserves. And there's something with that. We've got to figure that out. There's something with that for sure. But it's been tricky for me because the dream has really been to do something great and nice with Duke, but unfortunately, we had no choice but to make sure that Duke Nukem Forever reached the market, and that was the 3D Realms game that 3D Realms never felt finished with, that had to be finished, right? So in that world, it's now there are some people that look at it, on the business side that might look at that result independently and not realize that there's a reason why that happened the way it did, and that Duke can do so much more. It'd be kind of like if you were thinking about the Batman franchise after, what was the one with Mr. Freeze?
It was either Batman and Robin or Batman Forever. I think it was Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Was it? Wouldn't it be great if it was Batman Forever? Well, because of Duke Nukem.
The parallel.
You want to take another call?
I think we can.
Let's do it. Let's take a call from, let's see here. Hey, is this Aiden?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going, dude?
Hey, Aiden. This is Randy. You're with Elisa
Hello.
and me, and we're live on the Nerdvana Live podcast. How things going? You're up in Canada?
Yeah, I do. No.
Oh.
Okay, one sec. Sorry, I was just talking to a friend. Hey, Randy.
That's okay.
We are live.
We can hold. How's it going?
First of all, I love you so much, Randy. You're
Oh, wow.
an amazing creator.
Wow, thanks,
It's
Aiden.
so great to actually talk to you.
Wow. So are you up in Canada right now?
Yeah.
What part
I
of Canada are you?
wondered, yeah.
What part
How
of
did the Beavis and Butthead thing happen in Duke Nukem 3D?
Oh gosh, how did the Beavis and Butthead thing happen in Duke Nukem 3D? So
For the uninitiated.
let me tell for every. So there's a map in Duke 3D that Alan Blum made called Duke Burger, and that's in the Atomic Edition. It's in the 4th episode. And if you start that map, you're outside, and one of the things you have to do is figure out how to get into Duke Burger. And you can walk up to the drive-thru, and if you interact with the drive-thru and hit the use button, and by the way, Duke Burger, it's like we kind of ape Burger World from the Beavis and Butthead franchise a little bit, right? So if you walk up to the drive-thru and you hit the intercom, like you're going to use the drive-thru, you'll hear over the speaker, "Go away, we're like closed." And it's actually it's my voice imitating Butthead from Beavis and Butthead, because that's what he said when he was working as the fry guy Beavis worked as the fry guy, he worked as the mic guy in Beavis and Butthead,
That's
which is
fantastic.
an old Mike Judge cartoon that used to be on MTV back in the day for the folks that don't know what the hell we're talking about. So how did that happen? So I don't know. I think Alan was working on it and he put in the freaking drive-thru, and I said, "Hey dude, you know what would be funny?" And I just said it, and he's like, "You kind of sound like him." So I walked over to Lee's office, Lee Jackson, who's our sound engineer and music guy and sound effects guy, and just said it a bunch of times in a mic, and and one of the takes kind of stuck, and he kept it, and it went in the game. And,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those weird little Easter eggs. Yeah, every once in a while, like a lot of times, especially back then, we're just a handful of people, right? So if something's in the game, one of us just did it. Like, so there's so many things where we just did it, and because there's no one else to do it, right? So we I have crappy art in those games, like really shitty art, and I'm no artist, but sometimes you got to make your own tiles, you got to make your own stuff, because you're just trying to get done with what you want to do with what your vision is, but. Go away. We're like closed. I think I was much better at it back then because I was actually watching Beavis and Butthead.
Well, you got to warm up.
Yeah,
you got to go through vocal warm-ups and you'll be good to go.
Hey, Beavis. You're like stupid.
Memories.
Oh, I love Beavis and Butthead. Those guys are, what's great is it's like simultaneously sarcastic and authentic.
Yeah.
So here's something you don't know. Mike Judge is also from North Dallas, and he did another show called King of the Hill.
Yes.
Which is on Fox. And King of the Hill was an all-animated show, and it took place in the fictional Texas town of Arlen, Texas.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Arlen, Texas is actually Garland. He dropped the G and he dropped the D.
Oh.
And our headquarters, when we were working on
wow.
Duke Nukem 3D, was Garland, Texas. And in fact, if you watch, he did a movie in that era called Office Space.
Yes.
And there's the famous scene in Office Space where he's the dude stuck on the freeway in traffic, and he's listening to like gangster rap. And in fact, that is just they're going up the 75. Just if you
That's
and
great.
the Initech building, I remember that building. It was one of the first like office buildings in the 75 corridor. Yeah, and the Morningwood apartment complex, I think, was the La Prada. It's called Morningwood.
That's fantastic.
I think I just got that joke. The movie came out like 25 years ago. I just got the joke.
Still delivers.
Office Space was so good. The scene with the copier machine is one of the all-time greatest cinematic moments of all history.
Agreed.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I'm
sure.
talking about? That was so great. Yeah. But yeah, man. So Mike Judge was raised in the same environment where we were making Duke Nukem.
That's
It's
so
the
cool.
same mentality.
That's awesome.
Same mentality. And now he's doing Silicon Valley. Have you seen Silicon Valley?
I have not, but I feel like I need to.
I have.
So great. Silicon Valley is genius level. You have to watch it,
Yeah.
Elisa. It's
Yeah.
so like there's a lot of stuff that's on mark with the game industry
Uh-huh,
too. It's really on point. Highly recommend it.
Definitely.
So what else is going on, Aiden? Anything else you want to talk about since we got you on the line? What was your game of the year this year?
Yeah, the thing where you're in the bathroom with the middle fingers. What was that about?
Say again. Say which one?
Well, I found a picture on Twitter with you in the bathroom or something doing middle fingers.
That was with my hands behind my back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my wife, that was at Pendulette's house, the Slammer in Las Vegas, Nevada, and my wife and I were just kind of hanging out, and I went to the bathroom, and when I opened the door, she was there. And she said, "Hey, get down on your knees. This will be a funny photo." And she just took the picture. And then I think she posted it on her Facebook, and then it got out somewhere. But I thought it was funny, and I guess some people are getting a laugh at it. So I think some people are using it to my at my expense. But I was born to be an entertainer. So if people find enjoying it. What's that? You talking to somebody else?
Yeah, sorry, dude.
All right.
I should probably go.
All right, Aiden. You almost made it.
To talk to you. I'll probably talk to you again some other time.
You should.
Sure.
You absolutely should. And you can do it. You can bring your A game next time. I believe in you. You were on the brink. You were on the verge, but you almost had us. You can get there. You should do it. Call in next week and step it up. It'll be even more fun. Next year.
There you go. Have extra time.
Right
to
on,
prep.
dude.
Next
All right.
year, yeah, for sure.
Hey, good talking to you.
See ya.
Bye. Oh, that guy's great. I think he was borderline maybe trying to troll, but wasn't sure. Wasn't sure. I think he should have committed to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He should have committed to it and gone full troll. That would have been awesome. I'll tell you what though, it's really interesting. It betrays this kind of phenomenon. Everyone's trying to have fun in the world. Everyone's just trying to live their life in a way that's compatible with their own happiness, right? And all kinds of different people consume all kinds of different entertainment, and it's weird, to some of the relationships people have with their entertainment and the way they think about the entertainers behind them, and who are we to judge how people want to relate? We're in a world like we were talking about Star Wars earlier, and some of the people, like you were saying, like some of the people that are the most ragey about it are the ones that are going to see that movie 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, which is
it's so interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope Aiden calls next week. I'm curious. I want to learn more about him. So I had this other guy. He didn't call. This dude sent an email. It was great. He sent an email to Gearbox, and I invited him to call me. He didn't do it. I want you got to see this.
Oh boy. May I have already seen this email?
Probably not. I didn't send it around. Let me see here. How can I find it? It was so good. You vamp for a second while I find this.
I vamp. So, with the limited time we have left, I do want to remind you that we are also available on iTunes and Podbean, wherever fine podcasts and not so fine podcasts are not sold and available for free. As always, we are here. We are listening. You can always check us out on our social media, which is displayed here. If you have any thoughts after the show, you can also discuss with us after the show on our Discord, which is right over here. We could keep the conversation going on Discord even as we take this 2-week holiday break and come back for the new year. And of course, hey, we've been doing this for 7 episodes, but whatever. It's 2017. We can pivot. There's still plenty of time to change, and we want to make the show as entertaining for you as is humanly possible. So if you have any ideas on ways that we can improve the show, then definitely let us know for sure. Because we're into that. Because without you, we're just sitting here in a booth talking about nerd stuff, which is fun. But it's even better if you enjoy what it is that we're doing. So, let us know how we could do better at that. I also want to give a shout out to the folks that are hanging out on Discord as well as in the Twitch chat. We acknowledge you. We see you. But we do want to hear your lovely voices. So don't be shy and feel free to call in. And then also join the Discord if that is something that you are inclined to do. How am I doing? Are we good?
I found it. It's really bad.
Oh no.
I really kind of want to read it.
Should I give a warning to our fine feathered friend in PR?
No, it's fine. This
Brace yourself.
We got this email sent to the Gearbox. I think it was probably on a web form.
Well, that's a wall of text.
Yeah. The subject of it is cucks.
Off to a great start,
Right?
and we also have 5 minutes left. So
I'll read the first. I'll read the first sentence. I wish I could name everything wrong with Borderlands, but there's just too much bullshit garbage to list.
cool. Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. He's basically his complaint is he had a hard time with the Bloodwing fight in Borderlands 2. He had a hard time with that.
I had a hard time because I just took it personally.
Yeah.
It hurt my heart.
He had a difficult. He was underpowered for it.
Oh, it wasn't the narrative. Okay.
No,
okay,
he was underpowered for it, and he didn't like. He says, the only way you can kill it easily without grinding, mind you, this quest is for level 17, 18, and I can't do it at that level without glitching the game. And then he gets off topic. He just doesn't ever come back to the thought. He's really stream of conscience. It's really good. Okay. But there's a lot of all caps in here.
Yeah, I'm really looking at your phone, and you have a very large screen, and it is taking up most of it.
So he ends it with "fucking kill yourselves." I hope you get AIDS, and every one of your kids and grandkids get cancer. You're a fucking useless piece of trash. Eat shit.
Well, now, which does he want us to do
And then
first?
there's a whole lot of racial. Oh, Jesus. Like that last sentence, I don't even want to read it. It's so bad.
So then go ahead and show it to me. So, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Equal opportunity offender. All right, that's cool.
Rest in piss is how he closes it. So I replied to him, and I said... hey, your point of view fascinates me. I wonder if you'll be able to call into my podcast on Sunday afternoon and talk with me about your experience.
I'm going to go with a no on that.
And then he said, Randy Pitchford, Borderlands 2 is a flop glitch fest. Nobody wants to be in your podcast. Let Gearbox die in peace. Huh. So he replied.
Hey, okay.
He's really... I can't, I've never ever, I think, sent an email to anyone like a company that's made a product or a film or a television show or a video game. I don't think I've ever. Have you ever done that?
No, I don't think I've ever been that
passionate.
Well, I mean, I've been that passionate, but not that passionate.
I mean, good or bad.
Yeah.
Good or bad. Like
yeah.
just that step alone, like you're awesome. Like just taking that step, you're like. You're on the edge. You're an edge case, and which you might be on one edge or the other. This guy's on one edge, but it's just amazing, right? He clearly was touched by it. Yeah, it was something he's very passionate about. But something really bothered him, and he thought that the way to deal with that was to send something like that to us. Yeah, fucking kill yourselves. Yeah.
And eat shit. But I'm not entirely sure which he wanted us to do first.
Killing yourself had to happen first in this.
The logistics are a little off.
Maybe he was talking like in the game. He just knew you.
Oh, okay.
But I can't eat shit in the game, so... No. All right. Well,
this is such a happy holiday note to end this podcast.
I want someone like that to call so bad, so bad. So we get email like that once or twice a week.
That's it.
Yeah.
We get more on Twitter because I think it's just easier.
When I say like that, I mean that extreme. We get lots of email every week, and I'd say it's about 3 to 1 positive to negative. Except interestingly enough, with Duke Nukem, it's a little higher positive to negative. For some reason, the people that are Duke Nukem fans are really positively passionate about that, more so than the negative ones. It's about 3 to 1 positive to negative. This is like a 1% kind of negative. Like it's an extreme negative.
Yeah.
They're so interesting. I so desperately want to meet or talk to somebody that's got that. I was really hoping Aiden was going to be one of those guys, but he turned out to be such a nice, careful guy. He brought up the picture though.
He did.
Yeah. So close. He was on his way. He almost did it. Yeah. I want somebody. I want to feel that personality that you read in the all caps email. I want to feel that on this podcast. I think that would be very interesting to listen to and to watch. And I want to find out what made them. You know what I mean? How did they become them?
Who hurt you?
So in a few weeks when we're back, if you're one of those people, please, oh my God, please call. That would be so great.
Or, take some of that energy and put some just good vibes into the
No,
world.
no,
That's
no,
also
no.
another
Don't
option.
do that. Just call.
That's also another option.
Keep yourself as angry and crazy as you are, and just call with all of it. I want to hear it. I gotta meet it. I
or
gotta find
alternately,
out.
find the joy in the
No,
world.
no. Just bundle it all up and let it explode all over this podcast. That'd be so great.
I
All
will
right.
be out of town whenever that happens. So there you go.
Hey, this has been an awesome show. We got some great callers. We had some good chatting about video game stuff. We'll be back. We're going to be on a 2-week hiatus. So I think you're going to run some past episodes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. So,
cool.
so for those folks that might be new to the podcast for the next couple of weeks, maybe looking for some Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve entertainment, during this time we'll be showing some reruns of some previous episodes so you can get a handle on the kind of stuff that we talk about, and hopefully you'll have plenty of time to prep some questions and comments and concerns for when the show comes back next year.
Awesome. And right now we're going to sign off, and we're going to go next door to the at Nerdvana Food Plus Spirits restaurant, and I'm going to order probably some beef stroganoff Kathy style, which is a secret menu item.
Big ups to Kathy.
I might change my mind because I've been eyeballing the chicken fried steak where it's made out of filet mignon.
That is.
We'll see, but I'm really looking forward to it. If you are in the area, if you are in North Dallas, if you're in Frisco, if you want to stop by at Nerdvana and come and say hi, you're welcome to. I'll be here. And until the new year, this has been another episode of the At Nerdvana Live podcast. I'm Randy. This is Elisa, and
Thanks for nerding out with us.
we'll see you later.
See you next year.